Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Krista Grasso, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about lessons learned, relearning past mistakes, and all of the things that we experience as entrepreneurs that we wish we did not. So there's a saying that you've probably heard. I've heard it, I know, a million different times in a lot of different ways about we teach what we most need to learn. And I think that this is so true. If you think about what you do in your business, if you think about the thing that you are so passionate about that you help your clients with, a lot of times that came from your own journey in you having to learn or master or work through something that you then have found some way to do or some kind of passion and drive around that causes you to help people with something similar, with that thing exactly, or with something kind of adjacent to it. Right. And I know for me, the irony with the fact that I teach people how to lean out and I teach people how to scale without burnout and I teach people how to avoid overwork and overwhelm is that I am a master at all of those things. My natural tendency is to overwork, to overcommit, and to try to do everything and to try to do everything myself, right? This is my natural tendency, but you normally would never know that because I have spent decades working on that, putting strategies in place, putting methods in place, putting frameworks in place, developing all of the incredible systems that I use with my clients, but I am my own client. I use them with myself as well. And I developed them, and I am so passionate about this because of my past experiences, because my natural tendency is to do the things that burn myself out, and I have burned myself out in the past, right? And so a lot of times I do think the thing we choose to help others with are the thing that we need to help ourselves with, either now or a past version of ourselves. And there's kind of beauty in that journey. I know for me, all of those lessons I learned are what has become the lean out method. Now, with the new business with Strategic Ops Institute, I'm teaching other people how to help businesses do the same things that I help businesses do. I'm teaching and certifying them in it. So it's very much this kind of full circle type of experience. But, and this is super important, just because we are the expert at something, just because we learned those lessons and we then have gone out and found ways to help other people benefit from our learnings and hopefully either avoid having to experience those things themselves or be able to minimize the impact of those things when they do experience them. It does not mean that we do not need to relearn those things again. It does not mean that we do not fall back into old habits again, old traps again, old patterns and behaviors and mindset ways of thinking. What I found with myself and certainly with a lot of the very ambitious clients that I work with and people that I speak with is we want to have learned something and have it be a one and done. Got it. Never need to revisit it again. I'm good now. And we want it to just be something that's done. And the reality is that's not the case. We frequently need to relearn things over and over and over again. It's like a series of learning and then unlearning and then relearning. And it repeats a lot. And every single time we experience and go through something again, we're able to get through it a lot quicker. We're able to get through it with much less impact. And it's because of all of the systems and the things that we've developed in the practices and the mindset shifts that we've made over the years that we've put in place that allow us to get through it much quicker and to have different results. But it does not always allow us to 100% avoid having to re-experience or relearn something. And the reason I wanted to share this week is I've been having a lot of conversations with my clients and sharing this privately. And many of them have said, I feel so much better that you said that. You really should tell more people about this because nobody talks about it. And so I wanted to share on the podcast about how I'm very much in a period of what I would call relearning right now. I fell back into a pattern of overcommitting myself and overworking. It's been a really long time since I've done this, but here's what happened. I have all of the boundaries in place, all of the tools in place, all of the systems in place to avoid overworking and to avoid taking on too much myself when it comes to things that are outside of my zone of genius. Much easier to say no in those cases, much easier to rely on my team or to bring people in to support me. But when it comes to things I love, when it comes to things I am so excited about and I am so passionate about and I so want to do, it is so much harder to say no because I want to do it all and I think I can do it all. I always convince myself that I can do it all. And in that excitement, in that very passion-fueled space, it can become really easy to say yes to more than we should say yes to. And that is exactly what I did. I kicked off an engagement with a large-scale client who I love working with, but it is a lot of work. And I did that at the exact same time that I am launching the brand new division. And I did that at the exact same time I'm launching the new division of Lean Out Method called Strategic Ops Institute. And if it's been a minute since you've launched, and if it's been a minute since you've launched a new business, right, it's no joke. There is a lot that goes into it. And even though what I'm doing in Strategic Ops Institute is the same thing I do in Lean Out Method, I'm just teaching and certifying people how to do what I do. Even though there's so many similarities, it doesn't change the fact that there is so much work that goes into building an entire new business, new website, new branding, new offers, new funnels, new everything. There is so much that goes into it. And as much as it's all super exciting, it's a lot. And either one of those two things on their own would have been fine. But both of those things combined is a lot. Both of those things combined, along with my Scale with AI program, having multiple cohorts of Simplify to Scale underway, and having some incredible private clients and fractional CSOO clients that I'm working with, it's just too much. And now the good news is that in the past, I would have carried on this way for months and months and months, maybe years and years and years. And I would have kept telling myself that I could do it all. And I had it. And it was great. And it was amazing. But I recognize the pattern. And that is the beauty and the benefit of a lesson learned, something that you've experienced before and something that you've kind of built your business around where you have those tools. And not only do you have the ability to recognize it, because you probably recognize it in your clients all the time, but you have the means and the systems and the frameworks to be able to handle it and get onto the other side of it. And because I have all those things and I've spent so many decades helping other people with it, I was able to very quickly recognize when I committed to too much. I was able to really quickly look and say, this is an unsustainable pace. And if I keep doing this, not only am I going to burn myself out, but my results are going to suffer long term. And I think that is the beauty and the benefit of the lesson learned. It is not, much to our dismay, that we never have to re-experience it or never have to relearn the lesson. Unfortunately, I think that is life, and it is just something that keeps coming up over and over again, even though it can get better and better and lesser over time. But when it does happen, when we do re-experience those things, we're able to really quickly recognize it and we're able to really quickly move through it. And so for me, what's also been kind of fun and exciting about this experience is I am now my own client, right? This is the same journey and the same thing that I help my clients with all the time. And I know how challenging it is to go through this because I've been through it so many times, but now I'm living it. I'm living it again. And it's been a while since I've lived this on a day-to-day basis. And so I feel like I understand it and can appreciate it in such a deeper, more empathetic way. Even though I felt like I did before, and I felt like I was very empathetic and very much understood where they were coming from, it's just a different level now having kind of been right in it, and I know exactly what they're thinking and what they're feeling because I'm feeling it too. And a lot of times, I think what's different about a lot of the clients that I work with is I think a lot of them are kind of like me, where they've already said no to all the things they didn't want to do. Their biggest problem is that they don't want to say no to anything that's on their schedule. It's not a I need to or an I must. It's a I want to and I can. And that is sometimes, I think, an even harder place to say no to things from. It is so much easier to say no when you're like, not good at it, don't like it, don't want to do it, right? But when you're like pretty good at it, absolutely love it, could do it all day long, but you realize, wait a minute, that means I've been doing it all day long every day. Wait, I can't do this anymore, right? It's a harder place to say no from. So it's been fun for me. It's been fun to go back, as much as it is fun and not fun at the same time, to kind of re-experience all of these things on just such a deeper level, and to reuse all of the incredible tools and strategies that I've developed that I work my clients through. I'm working my own system and I am being my own client right now. And it's really quite fun. It's quite fascinating. You know, you hear me talk about Chuck on the podcast a lot, Hold, Change, Keep. That has been a lifesaver for me. I usually do Chuck in my business every 30 days and every 90 days, but I'm using Chuck much more often and almost as part of helping me guide some of the decisions that I'm making on what I'm doing. If you don't already have the Chuck guide, you can go to leanoutmethod.com/Chuck and grab it. It's free. It's simple, but don't let the simplicity deceive you. It is so incredibly powerful. It is one of my absolute favorite tools that I have and that I have used before, and I am just using like to the max at the moment. But I have many others as well. I'm using my impact effort matrix, which is a core of how I make decisions in the business and a lot of what I teach people to do. My team and I are doing regular retrospectives, and we're not letting much time pass before we're saying what's working, what's not working, where do we need to pivot and make changes, where do we need to double down and do more of this. Because we're in a state of experimentation, we're trying to quickly learn what we need to from the experiments so we can move and kind of clear things off the schedule. I've made some changes with my team. You are going to see a familiar face back again in Lean Out Method, which I'm so incredibly excited about. My long-term right-hand person, my CSOO in my business, who was with me for many years and left to kind of handle some personal stuff. She is now rejoining me in the business, and that just makes me so incredibly happy. Business has not quite felt the same without her by my side, but having her and somebody who's able to step in and work with clients at the same level as I do is really pretty exciting. So really looking forward to that. That's been a huge relief and a huge transition, and it's strengthening the incredible rock star team that I have even more with her coming in and filling that role again. And I need to remind myself all the time, I have this on a sticky that I have on my desk, which is I can absolutely do it all, but I can't do it all at the same time. And that is the reminder to myself, because I'm very much that I can do it. I've got this. That's very much my possibility-based thinking and tendencies is, of course I can do it. You tell me it and I will find a way, right? That is me. I am the figure it out, find a way, get it done kind of person. Something that I know my clients love so much is no matter what they throw at me, I'm like, we got this. Let's figure this out. Let's go. But just because I want to do it all, and just because I can, and I'm saying can in very big air quotes here, do it all technically, does not mean that I should. Because if I do, I am doing that at the cost of other things. I am doing that at the cost of my health by not sleeping as much, or by not working out as much, or by impacting my habits, or by doing what I've been doing, which is ordering way too much delivery food instead of making things that have been healthy for me. I'm doing it at the expense of relationships, right? If I'm working all the time, I'm spending less time with people, not seeing my family as much, or spending as much time with my husband and my dogs, right? And so everything does have a cost and a trade-off to it. So even if you are loving what you are doing, if you are doing too much of that thing, that means you are taking time away from other things. One of the other tools I'm using a lot and that I haven't talked about on the podcast in a while, I don't know why, because this is so central to a lot of the work that I do and what I do with my clients as well, is what I call the time pie. And so you have 24 hours in a day. We all have the same number of hours in the day. And the question is, which slice of your pie are you going to allocate to which things? How much are you going to put on personal, on health, on wellness, on rest and recovery? How much are you going to put on your business when you're working in your business? How does that slice up into your different areas of focus? And so I think having a handle on our time pie is so super important. And so although I have a time pie and it's something I use, I really decided to go all in on it in a different way and give a deeper look at what I'm doing and where I'm doing it. I had to look and say, are there things I'm doing that I don't need to be doing? Can I have somebody else take this off my plate? And even though I'm really good about that, I absolutely found things. I found things that other people can do. And that's part of some of the team shifts, is aligning some of those responsibilities over to other people where they're stepping up and taking the inspired ownership on something that I've been doing for a while. And so the reality is, what I'm doing right now is I'm leaning out my business. I am leaning out all of the things that either don't need to be done at all or that don't need to be done right now. And I'm having to make the tough decisions around what I focus on and what I focus on when I want to focus on it all. And yes, I understand that it's ironic a bit that I am in this situation when this is what I help people do for a living. But the reason I wanted to talk about this, the reason why I wanted to be transparent in that and share it here, is that I think a lot of times people will keep things kind of quiet because they feel like if they're the expert at this, if this is the thing that they help other people with, then they have to be perfect with it. And I think the reality is things aren't perfect. None of us are perfect. If we share with other people something that we had to learn for ourselves, the likelihood that we are never in the history of ever going to have to relearn that thing or re-bump up against past limiting beliefs or past behaviors or past actions is completely unrealistic. And I think that people hold themselves to an unrealistic standard, and then they feel a little bit like a fraud or like there's something wrong if they're having to relearn something that they've learned in the past. So when I shared this with people, I know so many people were really grateful that I told them what it was really like behind the scenes, because they shared with me that they were experiencing something similar in what they do. And they didn't want to say anything. And it was such a relief to know that as much as I had helped them with these things, and as much as they consider me the expert at these things, that there's still things that I have to make the tough decisions around. There's still things that I have to remind myself of all the time and relearn myself. It's not just that I was born super productive and super organized and super all the things and always know exactly what to say yes and no to and protect my time naturally, right? It's very much a learned behavior and a learned skill and a lot of learned practices that I happen to have gotten really good at and can help people with. But I have to relearn them sometimes too. And so that was a relief for them when I shared it with them. I hope it is for you as well. And I just want to say, if the thing that you help your clients with, if you ever find yourself in a period of feeling like you need to relearn it yourself, that is normal. I think it happens to absolutely everybody. I just think most people are too scared to talk about it. Having to relearn something does not make you any less of a complete and total rock star and expert at what you are doing in the way that you are helping your clients get absolutely incredible results. I hope you got a lot of value out of this episode. If you are in a similar place where you find yourself a little overcommitted, a little overworked right now, maybe you even had changes in your team and team members have left, where more things have fallen back on your plate, go ahead and grab the Chuck Guide. It's leanoutmethod.com/Chuck, completely free. And that will help you to get clear on what you should be focused on right now and what all the things are that you either can lean out and say no to entirely, or you can place on hold and not have to give your attention right now to give yourself back some space. I will see you again next week. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode. If you have not yet taken our scalability assessment, I invite you to head to leanoutmethod.com/assessment and take our interactive assessment that's going to help you look at how simple, how sustainable, and how scalable your business currently is. It includes personalized recommendations of where to focus next to get your time back, to increase your impact, increase your profits, and ultimately step into your rich, fulfilled life. And finally, we'd love to see you inside our signature program, Simplify to Scale. You can head to leanoutmethod.com/ops to find all of the details on how we can help you up-level your operations and get out of the day-to-day of your business.